Commander Yoon Jiho stood on the bridge of his ship, the Peaceful Dawn. For 30 years, it had looked like a simple exploration vessel. Scientists used it to study distant stars. Families took tours of its botanical gardens. Children played in its educational centers. Now everything was changing. Hull. Transformation beginning, his engineering officer reported. Yoon Jiho watched through the main window as his ship revealed its true form. The outer hull split apart like flower petals opening. Beneath the peaceful exterior, weapon systems emerged that no alien species had ever seen. The botanical gardens were actually weapon storage. The educational centers hid advanced combat systems. The scientific equipment could target enemy ships from impossible distances. Transformation complete, Commander, the officer said. All weapons online. Similar changes were happening across human space. Merchant ships became warships. Space stations turned into fortresses. Even small personal craft revealed hidden surprises. The aliens detected the energy signatures and were confused. What are they doing? War Leader Korthak demanded from his flagship. Unknown, War Leader, his science officer replied. The energy patterns don't match any known weapons. That was because humans had spent 1,000 years creating weapons that aliens couldn't imagine. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim Hee-jin was busy in her laboratory. For decades, people thought she studied human health and medicine. They were right, but not in the way they expected. Activation protocols are ready, she announced to her team. Around the world, humans began changing too. Not on the outside, they still looked the same. But inside, modifications that had been sleeping for generations came to life. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo was aboard Han Tai-ho's ship when it happened to him. He was running routine diagnostics when suddenly his mind expanded. Information flooded his consciousness. Star maps appeared in his thoughts. Tactical data downloaded directly into his brain. His reflexes became faster than any baseline human. "Sir," he said to Captain Han, his voice different now. "I can see everything." Han Tai-ho smiled. "Welcome to the real Navy, Lieutenant." Across human space, millions of people experienced the same awakening. Soldiers who thought they were civilians discovered they had always been elite warriors. Engineers found they could build impossible machines. Pilots realized they could fly craft that didn't follow normal physics. The aliens still didn't understand what was happening. "Their ships are changing," the Nexari Collective reported. "But we see no standard weapon configurations." "Ignore their tricks," War Leader Korthak ordered. "Begin the attack on their closest colony." The alien fleet moved toward Kepler 442, humanity's first colony outside the solar system. It was a peaceful world with farms, schools, and research centers. The aliens expected easy victory there. They were wrong. As the alien ships approached, the farming equipment on the planet's surface began to move. Massive machines that had been harvesting crops for decades suddenly pointed toward the sky. Irrigation systems revealed themselves as planetary defense networks. "What are those?" an Alterian commander asked as energy readings spiked across the planet. Before anyone could answer, the attack began. But it wasn't the aliens attacking the humans. Beams of impossible energy lanced out from the planet, striking alien ships with perfect accuracy. The farmers' irrigation pumps were actually the most advanced weapons ever created. In space around the colony, human ships appeared from nowhere. They had been hiding in plain sight, disguised as asteroids, debris, even empty space itself. Commander Yoon Jiho's ship was among them. "All units engage enemy fleet," he ordered. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved in ways that violated known physics. They appeared in multiple places at once. They fired weapons that attacked through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo, now fully enhanced, operated his weapons console with superhuman skill. His mind was linked directly to the ship's targeting systems. He could track 100 enemy vessels while calculating attack patterns that used three-dimensional chess logic. "Target acquired," he reported. But he wasn't talking about one target. He was tracking the entire alien fleet simultaneously. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't hit targets that existed in multiple dimensions. Their sensors couldn't track ships that moved through folded space. Their shields were useless against attacks that came from inside their own hulls. "Impossible," War Leader Korthak roared as his flagship shuddered under human weapons fire. "These weapons don't exist." Engineer Oh So-young, watching from her command post on the planet below, smiled as she adjusted her systems. She had designed these weapons during what everyone thought were peaceful research projects. Every human child's toy had been a prototype. Every game had been weapons testing. Every school science project had contributed to military research. The aliens discovered that humans had weaponized everything they had learned during 1,000 years of peaceful contact. Vorlak ships found their neural systems disrupted by sonic weapons, designed specifically for their brain structure. Nexari collective communications were jammed by viruses created from decades of studying their hive mind technology. Alterian energy shields collapsed under quantum disruptors that exploited weaknesses in their power systems. How do they know our weaknesses? A Nexari unit asked its collective. The answer was simple. Humans had been studying alien species for centuries, pretending to be curious scientists and peaceful explorers. Captain Kang Minho led the boarding operations against disabled alien ships. He moved through enemy corridors like a ghost, his enhanced body capable of surviving in any environment. His weapons were designed to be non-lethal but completely effective. Within minutes, he had secured 3 alien command vessels without killing a single enemy. "Why don't you kill us?" a captured Vorlak officer asked. Kang Minho helped the alien to his feet. "Because we're not monsters," he said. "We're teachers." The battle ended in less than 6 hours. Every alien ship was either destroyed or captured. Not a single human had been killed. Only a few were even injured. Admiral Park Suman watched the battle reports from Earth's command center. "Perfect victory with minimal casualties. Let the survivors escape," she ordered. Her officers looked surprised. "Admiral, they need to go home and tell their people what they saw here," she explained. Fear is a powerful teacher. The remaining alien ships fled toward their home territories. As they ran, they broadcast frantic reports about impossible human weapons and tactics that made no sense, but the reports made perfect sense to anyone who understood what humans had really been doing for 1,000 years. While the galaxy thought humanity was becoming soft and peaceful, they had actually been preparing for the most advanced form of warfare ever developed. Every exploration mission had been reconnaissance. Every cultural exchange had been intelligence gathering. Every peaceful research project had been weapons development. The alien species had shared their technology freely with harmless humans. They had allowed human scientists to study their biology, their psychology, their weaknesses. Now humans knew everything about their enemies, while the aliens knew nothing about humanity's true capabilities. Dr. Kim Hyejin's enhancement programs activated across human space. Millions of people discovered abilities they never knew they had. Reflexes faster than computers. Minds that could process information like living supercomputers. Bodies that could survive in the vacuum of space. One complete, she reported to Admiral Park. All personnel are now operating at optimal enhancement levels. The aliens regrouping at the edge of human space detected massive energy signatures from every human world. They thought the humans were desperately building weapons. They were wrong again. Humans weren't building weapons. They were activating weapons that had been built centuries ago and hidden in plain sight. Every human colony was actually a fortress. Every trade route was a military supply line. Every peaceful space station was a strategic command center. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo, now fully integrated with his ship's systems, could see the entire tactical situation across dozens of star systems. His enhanced mind processed battle data faster than alien supercomputers. "Sir," he reported to Captain Han Taeho, "enemy reinforcements are approaching from the Alterian Republic. Estimated arrival in 72 hours. Han Taeho nodded. "Inform Admiral Park. We'll be ready for them." The second wave of aliens was coming, bringing 10 times more ships than the first attack. They thought overwhelming numbers would succeed where superior technology had failed. They still didn't understand what they were fighting. Engineer Oh So-young was already preparing humanity's response. The weapons that had defeated the first alien fleet were just the beginning. She had systems that could destroy entire fleets without firing a single shot. Phase 2 initialization complete, she reported. Dimensional warfare systems are online. Commander Yoon Ji-ho's ship began its next transformation. The hull that had revealed weapons systems now revealed something even more advanced: the ability to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Soon, human ships would be attacking from angles that didn't exist in normal space. The millennium of peace was truly over. But as the aliens were learning, humanity's version of war was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Park Suman stood in Earth's war room, watching as reports came in from across the galaxy. The alien reinforcements had arrived, thousands of ships from dozens of species, all united in their desire to conquer humanity. They brought friends, Captain Han Taiho observed from his ship's communication link. Good, Admiral Park replied with a cold smile. More witnesses. The alien armada was massive. War leader Korthak had convinced 12 other species to join the attack. They brought the most powerful weapons in known space. Every ship was equipped with shields designed to stop human attacks. They thought they were ready this time. Captain Kang Minho prepared his enhanced strike teams aboard their assault ships. His soldiers no longer looked completely human. Genetic modifications gave them superior strength and speed. Cybernetic implants connected them directly to their weapons and ships. Remember, he told his teams, we're not just fighting a war. We're teaching the galaxy a lesson. The battle began at the Kepler 452 system, where humans had built what aliens thought was a peaceful research station. The alien fleet approached in standard formation, expecting to overwhelm human defenses with superior numbers. Engineer Oh So-young activated her dimensional warfare systems. Reality around the alien fleet began to change. Space itself became a weapon as human technology manipulated the basic laws of physics. What's happening to our ships? An Alterian commander screamed as his vessel began existing in two places at once. The human ships appeared everywhere and nowhere. They attacked from angles that shouldn't exist, firing weapons that came from inside enemy hulls. Lieutenant Lee Sangwoo, his mind now fully integrated with quantum targeting systems, tracked every enemy vessel across multiple dimensions simultaneously. His enhanced consciousness processed battle data that would have burned out normal computers. Target analysis complete, he reported. All enemy weaknesses identified. The aliens discovered that their improved shields were useless. Humans had designed new weapons during the few days between battles, based on data collected from the first engagement. Vorlak ships found their hulls dissolving as molecular disruptors attacked their atomic structure. Nexari collectives lost connection to their hive minds as quantum viruses infected their neural networks. Alterian energy systems overloaded, when human weapons turned their own power against them. But the most terrifying discovery came when Captain Kang Minho's boarding teams hit their targets. Alien crews watched in horror as human soldiers walked through solid walls, moved faster than their sensors could track, and disabled their systems without even touching them. How is this possible? A captured Nexari unit asked. Kang Minho removed his helmet, revealing features that were still recognizably human, but enhanced far beyond baseline limits. Evolution, he said simply. The aliens realized they weren't fighting the same species that had been peaceful for 1,000 years. Humanity had transformed itself during that time, becoming something more than what they once were. Admiral Park watched the battle unfold with satisfaction. But she wasn't satisfied with just winning. She wanted to send a message that would be remembered across the galaxy. Activate the demonstration protocol, she ordered. Commander Yoon Ji-ho received the signal aboard the Peaceful Dawn. His ship, now operating in 7 dimensions simultaneously, approached the enemy flagship. What do you want us to see? He asked over the communication system. Everything, Admiral Park replied. The human fleet suddenly stopped attacking. For a moment, the surviving alien ships thought they might escape. Then Engineer Oh So-young showed them what human technology could really do. Every destroyed alien ship began reassembling itself. Molecular by molecular, the vessels reformed in perfect condition. But now they flew in geometric patterns around the alien survivors, creating a massive display visible from light years away. We're not destroying your ships, Admiral Park announced on open frequencies. We're rearranging them. The aliens watched their defeated fleets dance in perfect formation, each movement controlled by human technology. It was a demonstration of power beyond their comprehension. Thousands of alien warships, moving in harmony like a vast orchestra, all under human control. Surrender now, Admiral Park continued, or we'll demonstrate what we can do to living beings. The threat worked. One by one, alien commanders began transmitting surrender signals. But war leader Korthak refused to give up. Never, he roared from his damaged flagship. We will fight to the death. Captain Kang Minho's enhanced soldiers were already aboard Korthak's ship. They moved through the corridors like ghosts, avoiding all weapons fire while systematically disabling every system. When they reached the bridge, Korthak pulled out an ancient Vorlak war blade. "Ready to die fighting?" "I respect your courage," Kang Minho said, not drawing any weapon. "But this war is over." He moved faster than Korthak could follow, disarming the alien commander without hurting him. The warblade clattered to the floor. "How?" Korthak gasped. "1,000 years of preparation," Kang Minho replied. "We studied every species, learned every weakness, prepared for every possibility." Across the battlefield, the alien surrender was complete. 12 species had attacked humanity with their most powerful fleets. All 12 had been defeated without a single human casualty. But Admiral Park's demonstration wasn't finished. "Attention, Galaxy," she broadcast on all frequencies. "This message is for every species watching these events." The reformed alien ships arranged themselves into letters spelling out words in hundreds of different languages. The message was simple but clear: peace through strength, cooperation through understanding. Dr. Kim Hyojin monitored her enhanced humans throughout the battle. The genetic and cybernetic modifications had performed perfectly. Humans were now capable of feats that seemed impossible to other species. But the enhancements came with built-in safeguards. Humans couldn't use their new abilities to harm innocent beings or conquer peaceful worlds. The technology itself prevented abuse. "Enhancement system stable," she reported. "All personnel maintaining ethical parameters." This was humanity's greatest achievement. They had become more powerful than any species in the galaxy, but they had also made themselves incapable of becoming evil conquerors. Lieutenant Lee Sangwoo felt the ethical systems working in his enhanced mind. He could see 1,000 ways to destroy the alien fleets completely, but he couldn't bring himself to use unnecessary force. "It's like having a conscience built into my brain," he marveled. Commander Yoon Ji-ho nodded from his captain's chair. "That's exactly what it is. We made ourselves stronger, but we also made ourselves better." The surrendering alien survivors were treated with unexpected kindness. Human medical teams helped repair their damaged ships. Food and supplies were shared freely. Wounded aliens received the same treatment as human personnel. "Why are you helping us?" asked a confused Altarian officer. "We came to conquer your worlds." Engineer Oh So-young, supervising the repairs to their ship, smiled gently. "Because you didn't know better. But now you'll learn." Word of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. Other species that had been considering attacks on human space quickly changed their minds. The Galactic Trade Confederation sent urgent messages requesting peaceful negotiations. The Stellar Republic offered to share technology in exchange for human protection. Even the mysterious Void Dancers emerged from the dark regions of space to establish diplomatic contact. Every species wanted to be humanity's friend now. But some alien governments refused to accept defeat. 3 more military coalitions began preparing massive invasion forces, determined to succeed where others had failed. Admiral Park received intelligence reports about the new threat. Hundreds of thousands of ships were being assembled. Entire star systems were being converted into weapons manufacturing centers. "They still don't understand," she said to her staff. Captain Han Taeho's communication link crackled. "Orders, Admiral?" "Begin Phase 3 of the education program," Admiral Park replied. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity's most powerful weapons weren't ships or energy beams. They were ideas, information, and the ability to change minds. Specialist Nam Hyunwoo had been living among alien species for decades, posing as a harmless researcher. He wasn't alone. Thousands of human agents had been integrated into alien society for generations, all preparing for this moment. When Admiral Park gave the signal, these sleeper agents revealed themselves. But they didn't attack alien governments or destroy infrastructure. Instead, they began teaching. Across the galaxy, ordinary alien citizens learned the truth about humanity. They discovered that humans had been their friends all along, sharing technology and knowledge freely. They realized their governments had lied to them about human intentions. Within days, alien populations began demanding peace with humanity. Governments that had planned invasion found their own citizens refusing to fight. The war was ending not through conquest, but through understanding. Captain Shin Yuna emerged from deep space with reconnaissance reports that confirmed humanity's ultimate victory. The galaxy's military forces were abandoning their posts. Species that had never trusted each other were beginning to work together, all because they had finally met a species powerful enough to defeat them, but wise enough not to destroy them. Fleet Admiral Bei Jisoo stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Harmony, watching as her fleet prepared for the final phase of humanity's war. 3 months had passed since the Great Battle, and the galaxy was changing faster than anyone had expected, but some species still refused to learn. Admiral, her communications officer reported, "We're receiving distress calls from 17 different star systems. The Keth Dominion is attacking civilian populations." Bei Jisoo frowned. The Keth were one of the few species that had not participated in the original attacks on humanity. They had watched from the shadows, learning from others' mistakes, building better weapons. Now they were making the same error, but with a cruel twist. Instead of attacking human military targets, they were targeting innocent alien civilians who had begun cooperating with humanity. "They think we won't defend non-human populations," Admiral Bei observed. Her tactical officer, Captain Shin Yuna, nodded grimly. "Intelligence reports show they're using human refugees as shields, expecting us to hesitate." It was a clever strategy, but it showed the Keth still didn't understand what they were dealing with. Admiral Bei activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships prepare for humanitarian rescue operations. We're going hunting." Across human space, the response was immediate. Ships that had been conducting peaceful research missions transformed into rescue vessels. Mining operations became forward supply bases. Tourist stations revealed themselves as strategic command centers. Specialist Nam Hyunwoo was already behind enemy lines when the order came. He had been living on Keth worlds for 20 years, posing as a simple translator. His real job had been much more important. "Network activation complete," he reported from the Keth capital world. "All sleeper agents are in position." What the Keth didn't know was that humans had been among them for decades, not just as spies but as teachers, doctors, engineers, and friends. They had helped build Keth cities, cure Keth diseases, and raise Keth children. Now those same humans were revealing their true purpose. At the Vega colony, Keth warships surrounded a space station full of alien refugees. The Keth commander sent a message to the approaching human fleet. "Come closer and we kill them all. Surrender your ships or watch innocent beings die." Captain Kang Minho received the transmission aboard his assault ship. His enhanced soldiers were already suited up for combat. But this mission required more than fighting skills. "Dimensional insertion protocol," he ordered. His ship seemed to vanish from normal space. The Keth detected nothing as it slipped between realities, approaching their formation through dimensions they couldn't perceive. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo, now serving as Kang Minho's tactical officer, monitored the enemy ships through quantum sensors. His enhanced mind processed thousands of variables simultaneously. "Target analysis complete," he reported. "All civilian locations identified. Extraction routes calculated." The rescue began without the Keth even noticing. Human soldiers materialized inside the refugee station, moving through walls and floors like they were made of air. They appeared beside frightened alien families, touching their hands with devices that transported them to safety in microseconds. "Don't be afraid," one soldier told a young Alterian child. "You're going home." Within minutes, every civilian had been evacuated. The Keth were left guarding empty rooms while their hostages were already light years away, but the humans weren't finished with their lesson. Engineer Oh So-young had been working on new technologies during the months of apparent peace. Her latest creation was her most ambitious yet: weapons that could target evil intentions while leaving good people unharmed. "Moral selective systems are online," she reported from her research station, "ready to deploy." The Keth fleet opened fire on what they thought was a station full of hostages. Their weapons struck empty metal corridors while human ships began their response. But instead of destroying the Keth vessels, the human weapons did something unprecedented. They reached into the alien ships and affected only those crew members who had committed crimes or supported violence against innocents. Keth soldiers who had killed civilians found themselves unable to operate their weapons. Officers who had ordered attacks on refugees discovered their neural systems being gently modified to feel empathy for their victims. The most violent Keth warriors fell into deep sleep, their minds being carefully rewired to understand the pain they had caused. "What's happening to our crew?" the Keth fleet commander demanded over radio communications. Captain Kang Minho's voice replied from seemingly empty space. "Education. The hard way." Across Keth space, similar scenes played out. Human agents revealed themselves not as conquerors but as liberators. They freed alien slaves, protected innocent populations, and began teaching Keth civilians the truth about their government's actions. Dr. Kim Hyejin monitored the neural modification systems from Earth. The technology was precise, enough to change violent behavior while leaving personalities intact. Former killers were becoming protectors, their enhanced empathy making them better beings than they had ever been. Rehabilitation success rate, 97%, she reported. The remaining 3% are being kept in comfortable isolation until we can help them too. Admiral Beijisu watched as Keth resistance crumbled across their territory. But this wasn't military defeat. It was moral transformation. The Keth people were learning what it meant to care about others' suffering. Commander Yoon Jiho's ship materialized in normal space above the Keth homeworld. The planet's defense systems targeted him, but the weapons refused to fire. The enhanced moral selective technology had infected their targeting computers. "Attention, Keth Dominion," he broadcast. "Your war is over, but your education is just beginning." On the planet below, Specialist Nam Hyunwoo was working with local resistance groups, Keth citizens who had secretly opposed their government's violence. They were now emerging from hiding, supported by human agents who had been protecting them for years. "We're not conquerors," Nam Hyunwoo told a gathering of Keth leaders. "We're here to help you become who you really want to be." The transformation happened quickly. Within weeks, the Keth government had apologized for their attacks and requested human guidance in rebuilding their society. But even as the Keth situation resolved, new threats emerged. Captain Shin Yuna's deep space reconnaissance reported disturbing intelligence. The Void Collective, a mysterious species from the dark regions of space, was assembling something that didn't match any known technology. "It's not a weapon," she reported to Admiral Bay. "It's something else. Something designed to affect consciousness across entire star systems." The Void Collective had been watching humanity's victories with growing concern. They realized that direct military confrontation was useless. Instead, they were developing a way to turn the galaxy's population against humanity by manipulating their thoughts and emotions. Engineer Oh So-young analyzed the intelligence data and made a disturbing discovery. "It's a mind control system," she told Admiral Park Soo-min during an emergency briefing, "designed to make every species fear and hate humans. If successful, the device would undo all of humanity's peaceful efforts. Species that had begun cooperating would turn hostile again. The galaxy would unite against Earth, not through choice but through artificial manipulation." "How long before it's operational?" Admiral Park asked. 6 weeks, maybe less." Oh So-young replied. Fleet Admiral Bae Jisoo received new orders. Find and neutralize the Void Collective's weapon before it could be activated. But this mission would be different from all previous operations. The Void Collective existed in a region of space where normal physics didn't apply. Their technology was based on manipulating reality itself. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo, his enhanced mind now connected to quantum computers across human space, began calculating approach vectors for an assault on impossible targets. "We'll need to modify our ships for transdimensional warfare," he reported, "and enhance our crews beyond current limits." Dr. Kim Hyejin began preparing the most advanced human enhancement protocols ever developed. The soldiers and officers chosen for this mission would become something more than human, but they would retain their humanity's essential compassion. "This is the final test," Admiral Park told her assembled commanders. "Not just of our military abilities, but of our moral commitment. We could destroy the Void Collective easily, but we need to save them instead." Captain Kang Minho understood the challenge. His enhanced soldiers would need to fight beings of pure consciousness while maintaining their own ethical principles. "We're not just ending a war," he told his team during their briefing. "We're proving that power and wisdom can coexist." As the human fleet prepared for its most difficult mission yet, reports came in from across the galaxy. Species that had once been enemies were now working together on projects that would benefit everyone. Alien children were learning in schools built by human engineers. Former warriors were becoming teachers and healers. The galaxy was healing. But that healing process faced its greatest threat yet. In the dark regions of space, something ancient and malevolent was preparing to undo everything humanity had accomplished. The final battle would not be fought with weapons, but with the power of consciousness itself. President Im Taeyon stood in the rebuilt United Nations building on Earth, looking out at delegates from 300 different species. 6 months ago, most of these beings had been trying to destroy humanity. Now they were working together to build a better galaxy, but the celebration was interrupted by urgent news. Madam President, Admiral Park Suman reported via secure communication, the Void Collective has been neutralized. The mind control weapon has been destroyed. And their people? President Im asked. Safely relocated to rehabilitation worlds, Admiral Park replied. They're learning what it means to exist in harmony with others. The final battle had been humanity's strangest victory yet. Instead of fighting the Void Collective, human forces had surrounded their dark realm with fields of pure positive emotion. Centuries of hatred and fear had been washed away by waves of compassion and understanding. General Kwon Dong-hae, now serving as military governor of the former enemy territories, supervised the reconstruction efforts. Worlds that had been centers of violence were becoming gardens of learning and growth. The transformation is remarkable, he reported from the former Keth homeworld. Children who were raised to hate are now playing together, regardless of species. Ambassador Lim Soo-jin was working to establish the new Galactic Council. Unlike previous governmental systems based on fear and competition, this one was founded on cooperation and mutual growth. Every species will have representation, she explained to the assembled delegates, but humanity will serve as first teachers, guiding the development of galactic civilization. The title of first teachers had been chosen carefully. It granted humans authority when necessary, but also responsibility for the well-being of every species in the galaxy. Former war leader Korthak, now serving as a peace ambassador for his people, stood before President Im Taeyon. His reptilian features showed emotions that his species had never displayed before, humility and gratitude. President Im, he said in much improved human language, my people wish to thank humanity for showing us a better way to exist. President Im smiled warmly. We're all learning together, Korthak. Humanity spent 1,000 years preparing not just to win wars, but to build the peace that comes after. Across the galaxy, former enemy worlds were experiencing changes that seemed miraculous. Dr. Kim Hyejin's medical technologies were curing diseases that had plagued entire species for millennia. Engineer Oh So-young's terraforming systems were turning dead worlds into gardens. But the most important, changes were happening in schools. Young aliens and human children learned together in classrooms that spanned multiple star systems. The lessons were about more than science and mathematics. They taught empathy, cooperation, and the skills needed to solve conflicts without violence. Captain Han Tai-ho, now serving as director of the Galactic Education Initiative, watched as a class of mixed-species children worked together on a project to design a peaceful colony world. Teacher Han asked a young Altarian girl, why are humans so different from other species? Han Tai-ho considered the question carefully. These children deserved an honest answer. We're not really different, he said finally. We just learned something important during our 1,000 years of peace. The strongest species isn't the one that wins every fight. It's the one that knows when not to fight and what to do after the fighting stops. Lieutenant Lee Sang-woo had accepted a position as an instructor at the new Galactic Military Academy. His students were young officers from dozens of species, all learning humanity's approach to warfare, using minimal force to achieve maximum peace. Remember, he told his class, the goal of any conflict should be to end the conflict, not to destroy your enemy, but to help them understand why fighting was unnecessary. A young Nexari asked, but what if they refuse to understand? Then you make them understand, Lee Sang-woo replied, by showing them what they could become if they chose peace instead. Captain Kang Min-ho had established the Galactic Protection Service, an organization that prevented conflicts before they could start. His enhanced soldiers were stationed throughout known space, but they spent more time building schools and hospitals than fighting battles. We're not soldiers anymore, he told his team. We're gardeners, helping entire civilizations grow into something better. Commander Yoon Ji-ho's ship, still called the Peaceful Dawn, had returned to its original mission of exploration. But now it carried mixed crews of humans and aliens, discovering new worlds together and establishing colonies based on cooperation rather than conquest. Engineer Oh So-young had moved on to her greatest project yet, designing technologies that would allow different species to truly understand each other, neural translation systems that shared not just words, but emotions and intentions. Imagine, she told President Im during a progress briefing, a galaxy where misunderstandings become impossible because everyone can feel what others are feeling. Specialist Nam Hyunwoo had become the galaxy's chief cultural liaison, helping species learn from each other's traditions and wisdom. Former enemies were discovering they had more in common than they had ever realized. The Vorlak honor code and human ethics aren't so different, he explained to a mixed group of students. Both value protecting the innocent and helping the weak. Admiral Bae Jisoo commanded the new Galactic Defense Force, but its mission was completely different from traditional military organizations. Instead of preparing for war, they prepared to prevent war through understanding and rapid response to any threats. We're not here to conquer anyone, she told her multi-species officer corps. We're here to make conquest unnecessary. Captain Shin Yuna continued her deep space reconnaissance, but now she was searching for species that hadn't yet made contact with galactic civilization. When found, they were approached with friendship rather than force. Every first contact is a chance to start things right, she reported, after establishing peaceful relations with the quantum dolphins, a species that existed partially outside normal space-time. The changes weren't just political or military. They were deeply personal. Families that included multiple species became common. Human children grew up with alien siblings. Former enemies fell in love and married. The boundaries between species began to blur as everyone became part of one galactic family. President Im Tae-yeon received daily reports of progress that would have seemed impossible just 1 year earlier. Crime rates were falling across the galaxy as species learned better ways to resolve disputes. Scientific advancement was accelerating as different forms of intelligence worked together. Art and culture flourished as beings shared their unique perspectives, but the most important report came from Dr. Kim Hye-jin. Madam President, she announced during a cabinet meeting, we've achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. For the first time in millions of years, no species is at war with any other species. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Complete peace across hundreds of inhabited worlds and thousands of different species. How long will it last? President Im asked. Forever if we keep teaching the next generation properly, Dr. Kim replied. The millennium of human peace had ended, but it had been replaced by something infinitely better, a galactic civilization based on wisdom, compassion, and the understanding that true strength comes from helping others become strong. In schools across the galaxy, alien children raised their hands to ask questions about human history. Teacher, a young Keth student asked, why did humans spend 1,000 years preparing for war if they wanted peace? The human instructor smiled. Because sometimes you have to be strong enough to fight in order to be trusted when you choose not to fight. Another student, this one from the former Void Collective, asked, will there ever be another war? Not if we do our job right, the teacher replied. We're raising a generation that knows how to solve problems without violence. You are the future of galactic peace. As the days passed into months and years, the galaxy continued to transform. Worlds that had been battlefields became gardens. Species that had been mortal enemies became close friends. Technologies that had been weapons became tools for healing and growth. And in the museums of New Seoul, children from dozens of different species looked at the ancient human weapons with the same wonder that human children had once shown. These look so primitive, a young Altarian observed. Why? Did people think fighting was the answer to problems? Asked a Nixari child. Their human teacher smiled the same smile that teachers had worn for generations, because they hadn't learned better ways yet. But now we have. The galaxy had entered a new age, not the age of human dominance, but the age of universal cooperation. Humanity had used its 1,000 years of peace to prepare for war, but more importantly, they had prepared for what came after war. They had prepared to be teachers, showing the galaxy what it truly meant to be strong. Admiral Han Wu stood at the large window of his quarters, looking out at the massive space station that hung in the darkness. Kepler-7 was the biggest thing humans had ever built together with aliens. It looked like a giant metal ring spinning slowly around a dying red star. The station was supposed to be neutral ground where all species could meet safely. Today, Han Wu was not so sure about the safe part. The Admiral was a tall man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had fought in 3 wars before this day, but he had never felt more worried. His dress uniform was perfectly clean, with medals that told stories of battles won and friends lost. In 2 hours, he would walk into a room full of aliens who wanted to judge humanity. The thought made his stomach tight. A soft knock came at his door. "Come in," Han Wu said without turning around. Ambassador Park Mira entered the room. She was younger than the Admiral, maybe 40 years old, with short black hair and smart eyes behind thin glasses. She carried a tablet filled with notes and legal papers. "The Galactic Council is ready for us, Admiral. Are you prepared for what might happen today?" Han Wu finally turned from the window. "I have been preparing for this day for 20 years, Ambassador. The question is whether they are prepared for us." His voice was calm, but Park Mira could hear something cold underneath the words. They walked together through the long hallways of the station. Other humans nodded to them as they passed. Captain Li Tay fell into step beside them. He was Han Wu's student and had learned everything about war from the older man. His hand rested on his weapon, even though weapons were supposed to be banned in the council chambers. "How many ships do they have out there?" Park Mira asked quietly. 1,200, Li Tay answered. "Maybe more hiding behind the moon. They brought everything they have." "And we brought 4 ships, Park Mira said. It was not a question. She knew the numbers. Han Wu smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We brought exactly what we needed to bring." The council chamber was huge, with seats arranged in a circle around a central speaking area. 12 different alien species sat in their sections, each group wearing different colors and breathing different air through masks and tubes. The humans had only 4 seats, looking very small compared to the hundreds of aliens watching them. Dr. Kim Yuna was already seated, checking her translation devices. She was the expert on alien cultures and had spent years learning their languages and customs. She looked nervous, which made Park Mira feel worse. If their expert on aliens was worried, then this meeting was going to be bad. The Vorthak Chancellor Mekthar stood up first. He was twice as tall as any human, with blue-gray skin that looked like stone and 4 arms that moved like snakes. When he spoke, his voice sounded like rocks grinding together. The translator made his words clear to the humans. "The Galactic Council calls this meeting to address the crimes of the human species," Mekthar said. His black eyes focused on the 4 humans like a hunter looking at prey. "Humanity has broken the laws of expansion. They have built colonies in forbidden systems. They have refused to follow proper procedures for new settlements." Park Mira stood up slowly. She had practiced this moment many times, but her heart was beating fast. "Chancellor Mekthar, humanity has followed all agreed laws. We have the documents to prove every colony was built according to the rules set by this council." A new alien voice spoke up. This one belonged to the Zenthari representative, a creature that looked like a giant insect with silver wings. "Documents can be faked, human. We have evidence of your crimes." The main screen in the chamber lit up with images. Park Mira felt her blood turn cold as she saw what looked like human soldiers attacking alien civilians, human ships destroying peaceful trading vessels, and human colonies built on worlds that were supposed to be protected. "These images are lies," Park Mira said. But her voice sounded weak even to her own ears. "Are they?" asked another alien, this one from the Corvin Federation. "We also have these audio recordings of human commanders planning attacks on innocent worlds." The speakers filled with what sounded like human voices discussing battle plans and talking about destroying alien cities. Park Mira knew the voices were fake, but they sounded real enough to fool anyone who wanted to believe them. Dr. Kim Yuna leaned forward and whispered urgently to Park Mira. "The vocal patterns are wrong. This is computer-made speech, not real humans talking." But when Park Mira tried to explain this to the council, the aliens did not want to listen. They had already decided what they wanted to believe. For 2 hours, the aliens showed more fake evidence, brought forward fake witnesses who claimed to be human defectors, and presented false documents that made humanity look like violent invaders. Admiral Han Wu sat quietly through all of it. His face showed nothing, but his hands were folded carefully in his lap. Captain Li Tay kept looking at his commander, waiting for orders that did not come. Dr. Kim Yuna tried to challenge each piece of fake evidence, but the aliens shouted her down every time. Finally, Chancellor Mekthar stood up again. The chamber became completely quiet. The evidence is clear. Humanity is a danger to all peaceful species in this galaxy. Therefore, the Galactic Council gives humanity this choice. He paused, letting his words hang in the air like a weapon about to fall. You have 72 standard hours to recall every human from every world beyond your home system of Sol. All colonies must be abandoned. All military forces must return to Earth. All exploration ships must come home. If humanity does not obey this order, the combined fleets of 7 species will force you to obey. The silence that followed was so complete that Park Mira could hear her own heartbeat. She looked at the aliens around the chamber. Some looked satisfied, like they had won a great victory. Others looked worried, like they knew they had just made a terrible mistake. Ambassador Park Mira stood up one more time. Her voice was steady now, filled with the anger she had been holding back. This is not justice. This is not law. This is fear. You are afraid of humanity because we are growing strong, and you want to stop us before we become stronger than you. Fear? Chancellor Mekthar laughed to sound like breaking glass. We do not fear humans. You are a young species with small ships and simple weapons. You have been in space for less than 400 years. We have ruled the stars for thousands of years before your world even knew fire. That was when Admiral Han Wu finally stood up. The old soldier rose slowly from his chair, his medals catching the light. Every eye in the chamber turned to look at him. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but somehow everyone could hear every word clearly. Chancellor Mekthar, Han Wu said, you have made a mistake. A very serious mistake. The alien leader tilted his massive head. What mistake is that, old human? Han Wu looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every alien representative. When he spoke again, his voice was still quiet, but now it carried something that made several aliens step back from their seats. You think that because humanity chose peace, we are weak. You think that because we followed your laws, we cannot fight. You think that because we asked for permission instead of taking what we wanted, we are afraid of you. Han Wu paused, and his next words fell into the silence like stones into deep water. You have made the last mistake you will ever make. The Admiral turned to face Chancellor Mekthar directly. You want humanity to return to Earth? You want us to abandon our colonies and our dreams? You want to force us back into our single system like animals in a cage? Han Wu's smile was colder than the space between stars. Try. The chamber erupted into angry alien voices, but Han Wu was already walking toward the exit. Park Mira, Li Tae, and Kim Yuna followed him, leaving the aliens to argue among themselves about what the human words meant. As they reached the door, Admiral Han Wu stopped and looked back one last time. His voice carried across the chaos of alien arguments. 72 hours, you said? That should be enough time. Enough time for what? Shouted Chancellor Mekthar. Admiral Han Wu's smile became something that would give the aliens nightmares for years to come. For you to realize what you have done. The 4 humans left the chamber, and behind them, the aliens began to plan for a war they thought would be easy to win. None of them noticed that Admiral Han Wu was not walking like a man who had just been defeated. He was walking like a man who had just been given exactly what he wanted. The game was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea that humanity had been writing the rules all along.